It's been a dozen years since NASCAR's Featherlite Modified Tour has seen this kind of winning streak. The late Richie Evans won 5 races in a row in 1985. This year, Mike Stefanik tied that record, and after missing a race due to his quest for the Busch North title, he came back to win last weekend at the series' smallest track, Riverhead, New York. Today, a much different challenge awaits Stefanik and the rest of the Mod Squad as they tackle the twists and turns of historic Watkins Glen International Raceway. ESPN, the worldwide leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today live from the beautiful Finger Lakes region of central New York, we visit historic Watkins Glen Raceway for the NASCAR Featherlite Modified Tour's Polaroid 125. Although he has won 6 of the 9 Modified Tour events held in 1997, there is absolutely no way that Mike Stefanik is going to victory lane here today. To explain, here's Bill Weber.
Well, Jerry Punch, you're exactly right. In fact, Mike Stefanik hopes he's nowhere near Watkins Glen when the checkered flag falls here today. Most racers will tell you, in my lifetime, I want to win just one NASCAR championship. But Stefanik is trying to win 2 in the same year, the Featherlite Modified title and the NASCAR Busch North Series championship. For that reason, he will make just 1 lap here at Watkins Glen today. Then he will bring the car down pit road, and Curtis Markham will climb into it. Originally, Stefanik had his own car here, but that was wiped out yesterday in a freak accident by another driver, Butch Leitzinger, who had hoped to back up Stefanik today. The green flag is about to fall at Watkins Glen, but for Mike Stefanik, the race has already begun. And for more on that, we go up top to Dr. Jerry Punch and Benny Parsons.
Well, thanks, Bill. Actually, Mike's mad dash to compete in 2 separate races in 2 states in 2 days began last night when he flew to Nazareth, Pennsylvania, where he competed in a Busch North practice session this morning from 10 until 11 a.m. He arrived here a short time ago for the modified start, which is coming up very shortly. He has to be back at the airport at 2:10 p.m. to be back at Nazareth, PA by 3 o'clock for Busch North qualifying. Makes me tired even just to think about that, much less try to travel it. Why all the fuss? Well, take a look. The modified Featherlite standings, he holds a 104-point bulge over Rick Fuller despite missing a race, with Ruggiero, Connolly, and Crevino in the top 5. Leedy, Avery, Winnetzko, Hirschman, and the 1990 Series champion Jamie Tomeno rounding out the top 10. Now, the Busch North standings, well, he's just 33 points behind veteran Dave Dion there. So what's Stefanik trying to do? Unprecedented, win 2 titles in 2 series in the same year. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, along with our expert analyst, Benny Parsons. Benny, when we talk about road course racing, ordinarily we're talking about very special race cars, sophisticated transmissions, finesse, shifting, but not today.
And drivers in very clean uniform. You're right, not today. This is the NASCAR Featherlite Modified Tour. Cars that run at Riverside Park in Mass, Stafford Springs in Connecticut. NASCAR is trying to bring this sport, elevate this sport. They decided to bring them to Watkins Glen International Raceway. World known. They got to shift, do all those other things, and they put them on television, trying to make the modifieds a household name, just like the Winston Cup.
Oh, they like their rubbing and racing, but shifting, something new we'll see here today. When we come back, we'll put the names and faces together. We'll take a look at our Suzuki starting grid, and we'll wave the green flag for the Polaroid 125 from here at historic Watkins Glen Raceway. Our Speed World coverage of the NASCAR Featherlite Modified Series Polaroid 125 coming your way from historic Watkins Glen International Raceway is brought to you by Big A Auto Parts, America's Parts Pros. Our Suzuki starting lineup, front row, Tim Connolly, a Dodge Stealth. Nothing invisible about this car. For the 4th time in 1997, he's on the pole. Flanked by Art Berry's car driven by Rick Fuller, the Polar Beverages Chevy. That's row 1. Back in row 2, Ted Christopher almost won this race a year ago, cut a tire and broke a wheel with 6 laps to go. Beside him, the reigning and 2-time series champion Tony Hirschman driving for Lenny Bowler. Back in row 3, a couple of drivers looking for their first win in 1997. Tim Airy and Jan Leedy. Both have been close, but no cigar to go to victory lane. Row 4, Sam Russo, his first full year on the tour. His best finish came 2 weeks ago at Jennerstown, where he finished 3rd. He's flanked by 2nd-generation driver Eddie Flemke Jr. And back in row 5, a 2-time winner, Mike Iwanitzko in 1997, driving for Scott and Patty Banzel, and he is flanked by a rookie on the tour, Billy Woods, in a Chevrolet.
Back in row 6, Reggie Ruggiero and Tommy Crevino. In row 7, Frank Bordwick and John Preston. Back in row 8, we find Dan Avery and Tony Ferranti Jr. In row 9, Bert Marvin and Mike Stefanik in the 00. And in row 10, Chris Kopek and Charlie Pastriak.
Back in row 11, you look at the 1990 Series champion Jamie the Jet Tomano, flanked by Tiger Tom Baldwin in a Pontiac. Row 12, Dan Kurdziescu had trouble on Friday. We'll tell you more about that later. And Dave Bergman, his first full year on the tour. Row 13, Ed Kennedy, the frequent flyer, commutes from Coppell, Texas to drive modified cars, and Joey Caraccia flanks him in a Pontiac. Row 14, S.J. Avancian and Doug French. Back in row 15, Carl Pastriak, the Featherlite modified veteran, and Wade Cole. And in the final row, Ed Conneran and this guy, Bob Park, in the car number 19, who did not qualify, had problems with an engine on Friday. Our in-car camera will have have 3 angles, actually, of Tim Connolly in the Dodge Stealth, and we'll have this shot out the back of the car. And we'll also look from the roof camera down on the Tidy Cat machine, the Ralston Purina car owned by Bob Garbarino. Well, Benny, a comparison between the Winston Cup and Modifieds, they are quite a bit different.
Well, they sure are. The horsepower in the Modified just 600 versus 700. Minimum weight, that's where they really rule. 2,600 pounds. Here they weigh 2,750 because to make everything fair, they raise the weight 100 pounds so the heavy drivers, and these cars are weighed with the drivers, so the heavier drivers would not be at such a disadvantage on the road course. On the road course, only 40 inches high. And talk about this young man, Bob Park. Here's his son, Steve Park.
A year ago here at Watkins Glen, Park hopped into Joe Nemechek's NASCAR truck and qualified it on the pole. He then went out and won the pole for the modified race, opening the eyes of Dale Earnhardt, who signed into a Busch Series ride for 1997. Well, this year, Park got off to a great start, winning at Nashville, and has since been promoted to a part-time Winston Cup ride, which begins later this year. Why all this information on Steve Park? Well, that young man celebrating there is our special guest today in the booth. And Steve Park, welcome to ESPN.
Cars out here. We're just looking forward to a great race. The weather looks good, and I'll tell you what, when these modifieds fired up, it got my blood boiling. We wish we were out there.
I know you'd like to be out there on Thursday. You sit here and watch them as they come side by side. This guy you'll hear from all day long won the most races a year ago, won the most poles. He had 9 poles, 5 wins, led the most laps, and still holds a track record at this racetrack. As we get set for modified action, Benny Parsons, Steve Park, our special guest, yours truly, Jerry Punch, and Bill Weber in the pits as the green flag waves from Billy Ryder.
This was our big concern, Steve, get into turn 1.
Yeah, that's always your biggest concern. It looks like everybody did a real good job getting through there and getting into single file so they could go up through those tricky S-turns.
There's Rick Fuller trying to hold off Ted Christopher. Fuller in the white car. Christopher, the red, number 13 behind. This is out the back of Tim Connolly's Tidy Cat Dodge.
We were kind of surprised. Ted Christopher was real fast yesterday in practice, and to have him come up third in qualifying was quite a surprise. I think you might see that number 13 car go to the front real early.
That's the car number 13 you're talking about, Ted Christopher, who started at the back of the field here a year ago and led the bulk of this race and broke a wheel with 6 laps to go, or else he would have won it.
Steve, I'm impressed. So far, so good. But I see a yellow flag waving up in the corner. Yes, I did.
Now it looks like the guys have done a good job really just getting in. Oh, there's a car off the track
there's one
now.
going straight. And this is something new at Watkins Glen this year, the gravel pits, and
That's Iwanitsko. That's Mike Iwanitsko that Steve Park drove for that team a year ago. Iwanitsko, the veteran with 2-time winner. He gets it back on the course. And, Steve, that can happen pretty easily here in these cars.
Yeah, it can. These cars are so light, they tend to skid off the track pretty quick. And I didn't exactly see what happened, but if a guy usually brakes a little too quick in front of you, you might lock up a front tire and get off in that gravel pit, which has been a great improvement.
See if we can see again what happened to Iwanitsko here in lap 1.
just the very tail end. And here's the gravel pits that Steve was talking about, something new this year. And the drivers are praising these things because you can go in there almost wide open, and that gravel will stop you before you make the wall. And there we see on pit road already Joey Caraccia in the 15 car.
And Joey comes in and talks to the crew a little bit. He is a newcomer, like you said, having run a limited schedule. His Pontiac comes to the pits, and so He obviously will have a problem, an engine problem, and we'll try to get an update from Bill Weber momentarily. Meanwhile, they scramble out of turn 9 up to the short chute. The left-hander in a challenge for second spot.
Teddy Christopher looks like he's making a move on the inside, going to try to outbrake Rick Fuller, and wow, that was close.
It was close.
That was close. These guys have raced together for a long time, so I think you're going to see them run probably about a quarter of an inch away from each other, but treat each other with a lot of respect.
Fans got to wonder how much you worry about the tires sticking out there. You have the Nerf bars. In a Busch car or Winston Cup car, you got fenders to bounce off of. Here, you just got those bars. Are you concerned about how wide the tires are?
The width of the tires isn't as much as a concern, because the drivers seem to treat each other with a lot of respect with those tires really sticking out there like that. The Nerf bars seem to help, so they do rub on each other a little bit, but you'll see a lot of respect and a lot of give and take here at Watkins Glen.
Well, we told you that Mike Stefanik was going to have to make a mad dash, and after a few laps back to Nazareth, Pennsylvania, the driver who was going to climb in that car, who was scheduled to drive that car, is standing by with Bill Weber.
And that's Curtis Markham. And I talked to Mike less than 45 minutes before the race. He said it was going to be one lap, but it's tough to get a guy out of a race car once it starts. What's the plan now?
That's true. You know, he really wants to race, but he needs to get to Nazareth, so we're hoping a caution will come out pretty quick, so he'll be able to put on the caution. That way we won't lose a lap. You know, it takes a long time to get around here, but you can still lose a lap on the green. So hopefully, you know, nobody's bad fortune, but we'll get a caution.
How long will he wait?
He'll wait 3 or 4 laps, probably is all.
Okay, that's Curtis Markham. Now, Stefanik started 18th. There was some concern he would have to start at the back of the field because he missed the drivers' meeting. But as it turns out, he was excused from the drivers' meeting because he was down in Nazareth and on his way back. So that's a big advantage, not having to start at the rear today.
Certainly a big advantage and a good break for Joe Brady, who owns that car. They call that group the Brady Bunch. And Curtis Markham hoping to get his first modified start.
Like Christopher right now is not putting the pressure on Fuller he was just a moment ago.
All right, the early laps here at Watkins Glen International, the Polaroid 125. Our pole sitter, Tim Connolly from nearby Binghamton, New York, is our leader here in the early laps after 3 of 32 are complete. Back at Watkins Glen, New York, the Polaroid 125 here, early laps. That's the car number 77, made an unscheduled stop. John Preston, Pennsylvania driver in the Chase Racing Pontiac, apparently having an engine trouble. Looks like it may be overheating slightly. He brought that car number 77 modified. Meanwhile, up front, we got a change.
A battle for the lead, and we see Rick Fuller, the 21 car in front. Conley now has his hands full with the 13 car, Christopher.
So Rick Fuller slips by and takes the lead, and now pulls to about a 7 or 8 car length advantage down that front stretch. Here's where they will gear down to 3rd gear. In fact, some of the guys, Steve Park, will even use 2nd gear.
Yeah, some of the guys might use 2nd gear in this corner, but Tim Connolly did a great job. Usually when someone gets you up out of the group, not only 1, maybe 2 or 3 cars might get by, but he was able to get his car back in line, and I think Teddy gave him a little bit of a break there to let him get back in line so they could get back drafting down the backstretch.
All right, up to the S's there. There's Fuller, the leader. Conley, then Christopher. Behind them, the car number 3. That's the Lenny Bowler machine for Tony Hirschman, the defending national champion.
And there we see the 4 car trying his best to get on inside of Fuller. Could not quite make it. This is the inner loop. And we see that the 3 car, Hirschman, did not make the inner loop.
Now it looked like we got a flat tire here. Reggie Ruggiero.
That's Reggie Ruggiero in the Mario Fiore on machine. 28 years in modified competition, and boy, a couple weeks in a row this team has had trouble.
And he's got a long ways to go. I don't know that he'll get there. This might be the break that Stefanik needed to get in the pits and make a driver change. They might throw the caution flag for Ruggiero on the racetrack.
Plus, Benny, even if he does make it, the debris off that tire flopping around on the racetrack could present a caution flag. As of yet, no yellow flag waving. Here's Fuller, Conley, Christopher. That's the front 3.
It looked like something come out of the back of Teddy Christopher's car when he come out of the inner loop. So Reggie might have lost his tire coming through the inner loop, and Christopher must have run it over and spit it out the back of his car. Because I did see something. I thought he might have had a tire going down.
The 4th place car now, we saw him just a moment ago, the red car, Jan Leedy, has moved by Hirschman. When Hirschman missed the inner loop a lap ago, Leedy was able to get by.
And how about Sam Russo in his first full year on the tour, Benny, coming off that 3rd place finish a couple weeks ago? He is holding on to the 4th position, 5th position.
good job. They have Tony Hirschman. He did a smart thing cutting through the inner loop. NASCAR has a rule here that if you can't make the inner loop and you go through, as long as you don't gain a position, you can fall back in where you were, but you can't make any advancements on the racetrack. And I think he did a good job avoiding a wreck.
Battle for the lead. Fuller dives in the corner ahead of Connolly.
That's the left-hander, turn 10. They'll come back hard right underneath the bridge, turn 11, and Fuller holds him off.
That's the first 3 cars. As they lap by the 33 car of Wade Cole.
We got Teddy looking inside for a pass.
Christopher's looking. Conley's looking.
Whoa, Jan Leedy got out of shape right there.
He used the brakes off. They are trying to beat that slow car in the corner, and we see Hirschman how much ground he lost because of the slow car right in the apex of the corner.
Yep. I think he saw Jan Leedy get out of shape there and decided he'd give him a little bit of room to get straightened out.
That's Leedy in the 25 car. Adirondack, the beverage company sponsor on his car.
He's catching that.
Oh, there we see the 10 car, Dan Avery, and the 51, Bill Woods, battling.
Billy Woods, who had a great qualifying effort, qualified 10th. They are side by side for position.
That's 12th spot. And right now we'll give it to Woods. Watch this.
There we go.
Inside, outside.
That's a classic slingshot pass on the backstretch here at Watkins Glen. It just looks like he didn't make it stick going through the inner loop.
Now you know why these cars are so popular in the Northeast on the quarter-mile and half-mile tracks. What a show they put on. 84 inches wide. That's a tread width. They're only 40 inches high. Just barely an inch or so off the ground. Here's a challenge.
We got a pass for the lead.
Conley on the inside. Takes the lead back.
Great job outbraking the 21 car. Rick Fuller going into turn 1.
Tim Conley, 4 poles in 1997, has yet to go to victory lane this year. In fact, he has not won since he's been dropped from Marvin Garmarino the past 2 years. Has been shut out.
That's a real great team there, too. They just got Tidy Cat, which I think is something that they needed for sponsorship to help them out a little bit.
Christopher, the red car, looking on the inside, and he makes it. Takes over the 2nd spot.
Gotta wonder if Fuller may have a problem. He lost the lead and the 2nd position all in less than about 1.25 miles there.
Biggest problem, he's got 2 very fast race cars. And determined race car drivers.
Now Jan Leedy moves in. That's Leedy in the orange and white car, number 25. Top of your screen. There goes Christopher. There is Fuller and Leedy. There's the leader, Tim Conley.
Dickinson knows of the 4 car. Conley's car, I don't know. And the caution flag in that corner. Car sitting there. This is the caution flag that Stefanik needs. Caution. Look, no caution flag yet. Yes, that is.
Now they will have a full course caution, apparently. They were waving a passing flag, and this is the break that Mike Stefanik needs. That's a car that's come to rest on the apron there, but just out of turn 10.
Has he made contact with those tires there, or what's this all about? I don't know.
Looks like he might have just broken and just rolled to a stop there and couldn't make it back to the pits.
Maybe the 0 car of Ed Kennedy. Looks like it is Ed Kennedy, the frequent flyer.
Oh, we've got some car off the racetrack. 27. That's Ed Conneran.
So action all around this 2.45 mile facility at Watkins Glen, and for the first time today we have a full course yellow. Billy Ryder, the Featherlite Modified Tour Chief Starter, and there is Kennedy saying, I need a push, give me a push. There's Billy Ryder waving the yellow flag all around the course for the first time. And if you just joined us, Mike Stefanik is going to climb out of that car 00 momentarily, and Curtis Markham will jump in. Stefanik will head to the airport and fly to Nazareth, Pennsylvania to try to qualify Busch North car. Waiting for the pace car to come out. They are up.
But the pace car is not in front of them now. Then it will not be out. The pace car goes out just out of turn 1, about half the racetrack behind these cars. So evidently the pace car did not catch the leader that time. There we see Stefanik in the 00 car.
He's got his window net down. He's ready to get out. You can see him go by. He looks like he's unbuckled and ready to get out as fast as possible.
What would be the penalty if he came in and changed drivers right now without the pits being open.
He'd probably have to start at the tail end of the longest line, and they're trying to save track position right here, so they're just waiting to get the pace car out there to get the field picked up.
Well, that's where he's going to start anyway.
Yeah.
He's going to start at the end of the field, so he might as well come in right now and take the penalty.
Yeah, that's true, because as soon as they change drivers, they're still going to have to start at the rear of the field, so you might see him come in now.
There's the 00. The reason for the caution flag was the car number 0 of Ed Kennedy.
And here he comes.
And here comes Stefanik. He will come down for the driver change. There stands Curtis Markham. And Bill Weber is there.
Well, 6 straight wins for Mike Stefanik, but that streak is about to come to an end. Curtis Markham's a good race car driver and a classy guy. When Stefanik lost his primary car yesterday, Curtis graciously gave up the seat to the start of this race. Now Stefanik already unbuckled, climbs out of the car. Curtis Markham climbs in. It's an hour and 40 minutes car to car for Mike Stefanik. They got a big break here with the caution. Curtis Markham climbs in. That's his seat in the car. Putting the steering wheel back on, Stefanik already across the wall and running up pit road, where he will be escorted to the airport and then fly to Nazareth in attempts to qualify for the Busch Grand National North race. His team drew a very late number in qualifying for that Busch North race in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. The window net already up. Markham getting some last-second instructions. The official wants him to pull on the straps to make sure he's in the seat tight. Now he's going to straighten the steering wheel, make sure that it's on properly. He's got it snug, in gear, now stalls it. He will refire, and Curtis Markham is back into this race, making his modified debut.
And a great shot by Corky Corcoran, John Corcoran, our pit cameraman, to pivot and be able to see Mike Stefanik dashing up pit road. The panting you hear in the background is Stefanik running by our booth on the way to his ride to the airport. Under caution here after 10 of 32 laps, Tim Connolly is our leader. We'll be right back. Back at Watkins Glen, New York. Now we're under caution because the car number 0 of Ed Kennedy had a problem, but as they get ready to go back to green, there was some damage on the front of the car number 4. Take a look here. Steve Park, tell us what happened.
Well, you can see that piece of rubber laying on the racetrack, and right there, Tim Connolly run it over. It did significant damage to the nose of his car, and here you run in the excess of over 150 miles an hour, so it might mess up the aerodynamic balance of the car right now. Right now, we'll just have to sit and see.
That is Steve Park, our expert analyst, along with Benny Parsons. Here's truly Jerry Punch and Bill Weber, bringing you live NASCAR Featherlite Modified Tour action from Watkins Glen, New York.
There you see the first 4 cars, first 5 cars actually. Connolly, Christopher, Fuller, Leedy. And I saw that Hirschman made a pit stop that time. I don't know. Sam Russo is, Eddie Flinke's now 5th, and Sam Russo is 6th.
That's Sam Russo in the blue car that looks like Tony Hirschman's car.
Yep.
He's doing a great job this weekend for being a rookie on the tour, and I don't think he was here last year to run the inaugural race at Watkins Glen, so he's doing a great job on this road course.
That's the car number 26 behind Russo. That's Frank Bordwick, the 3rd 27-year-old driver. That they got that car early this week. In fact, they bought the car from Russo, and Russo brought it up here as one car goes off the race, gets a little bit of dirt stirred up. There's Russo in the 88, the 26 car behind him, the car that was purchased from Russo. All right, a moment ago, we showed you Reggie Ruggiero having a tough start. They are working on the car. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
Well, Jerry, 6 straight top 10 finishes for Reggie Ruggiero, but the last 3 weeks, 26th, 17th, 28th, and now he sits on pit road. After shredding that tire, they broke a bracket in the rear end. The team is working feverishly to fix it. Back up top.
All right, now one car off the car number 24. That's Kurjieski.
He is going no place. The car will not come out of that gravel by itself.
It won't come out of that sand trap. It looks like a golf ball stuck in the sand trap right on the edge of the fringe. But that sand trap saved him a significant amount of damage on the car from hitting one of those styrofoam blocks or the wall. But he's going to be stuck there until the tow truck gets there and pulls him out.
All right, the action continues on the racetrack, coming out of turn 9 up through the short chute to turn 10. And
the flagman has the yellow flag in his hand. I think we're going to see full course yellow when the cars get back to the start-finish line.
There's the front 3. Let's see if we can see what happened to Dan Kurjieski a moment ago.
He comes in the corner a little bit on the outside of somebody, trying to make it through the corner, 2 abreast, and Dan found out, Steve, that doesn't work.
No, that didn't work, and you could see how much speed was scrubbed off the car by sliding through that sand trap, and it's been a great improvement that they've done here at Watkins Glen Speedway, and it saved a lot of race cars.
Well, Krzyzewski's crew had to fix the whole front of this car after an accident on Friday with Butch Leitzinger. Now they'll fix some more parts as we're under yellow once again at Watkins Glen. We'll be right back.
All right, signal's been given to these guys. 1 lap to go, and they will be back green. There's Tim Conley. As he looks in the mirror, checks it. Who is these guys behind me now? Let's see. There's that guy. Yeah, I think I can beat him. I don't know about that guy back there.
You know, Benny, Tim Conley was quite an athlete. He went to Binghamton North High School, was an All-American high school football player, played at Ithaca for the Ithaca Bombers from 79 to 83. As a quarterback, they won the national championship. You saw it on ESPN, the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl back in 79. So quite the athlete going racing. So we're seeing more and more great athletes who move from the stick and ball sports into motorsports. Let's check into the pits with Bill Weber.
Well, Tony Hirschman is back in here. He just gestures with his hands, throwing them up in the air. It is a brake problem for the 3 car. They think they have it fixed. They stopped the brake leak, a brake fluid leak, but then they believe they got air into the brake hose. So they're going to have to try and bleed that out and then send Tony back out on the track. But this is disappointing after a strong starting spot. He qualified 4th here, and they're working on the car here on pit road. Then they'll send him back out, and hopefully he will have some brakes. He reported back in after the first pit stop that he still didn't have any brakes.
All right, we were told they're also looking at another car for a possible fluid leak.
Tim Airy in the 66 is what some of our spotters are saying, that NASCAR thinks he may be losing some fluid on the racetrack. And you know, these slick tires, fluid is not good.
No, it's not. It's like having 4 big squeegees on each corner of the car. And anytime there's any kind of rain or any kind of oil on the racetrack, these tires tend to slip real tight on them. So here's a 66 car right here.
That's Tim Airy. Let's check in once again with Bill.
And Jerry, that's transmission fluid that he is indeed leaking. In fact, some of the guys following him on the track had reported it. Tim wants to come in and get it fixed, but the crew says, no, you're running too good. You're too far at the front of the field. Stay out there. Everything's going to be okay. So they've got their fingers crossed.
Running 9th right now.
Boy, the only thing slicker than transmission fluid on the racetrack is Benny's tie after a meal.
That stuff is slick. That's what Ernie Irvin hit going in turn 1 at Dover just a couple of weeks ago. Some gear oil, transmission oil. It doesn't take much to these cars sliding.
Steve Park is our special guest today. Steve, when you were here last year, was it pressure knowing that the Winston Cup and Busch owners were watching and maybe looking for the future, or do you think about that when you're in the modified car?
I think you think about it more when you're outside the modified car than actually inside of it, competing out on the racetrack. But it's a little bit of a pressure situation. You want to run good in front of all the Winston Cup guys, and I think any time that they're here and you can run good in front of them, people might say, Steve who? Like a Dale Earnhardt or something. So it's definitely beneficial to run good here in front of the Winston Cup guys.
That is Steve Park, who is one of the heroes for these guys you're watching today, because he certainly has made it into the major leagues. Back with more from Watkins Glen in a moment. Our Daytona coverage starts next Thursday with pole qualifying, 3 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. We'll see who's going to sit on the pole for the Pepsi 400. And happy hour coming your way, 6 o'clock Eastern, that final 1-hour scramble to dial the cars in prior to what's going to happen on Saturday. NASCAR today, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. And then the big show. Bob Jenkins will be on hand with all of our Speed Row crew to call the action, 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's the Pepsi 400 Summer Speed Weeks from Daytona International Speedway. Steve Park, got to ask you, who do you think, now think about this now, who do you think will win the Pepsi 400?
Well, that's an easy question to answer. I have to say Dale Earnhardt. After coming off the, and not just because I drive for him, but because of the runs that he had at Daytona in the early part of this year and that great run he had at Talladega. I know he's real hungry for a win, and Larry McReynolds has been doing a great job, and they're pretty hungry, so they're going to be tough to beat when they go back to Daytona.
You know, in February, it was Elliott and Earnhardt. Many people thought those two would come down to those two guys for the win. Obviously, with 12 laps to go, that didn't happen, but I've got to agree with you. I think Earnhardt's going to be awfully tough, and some others down there in Daytona coming up next week. So, and Bill Weber, they're complaining, the drivers complaining slightly about something on the racetrack.
No, drivers never complaining, Jerry, but perhaps trying to help NASCAR out a little bit. Several drivers have I was going to use the word complained, but have said on the radio they see oil on the racetrack. It begins at the bottom of the S's and goes up through the S's. But the pace car says
they don't see that oil out on the racetrack. So that discussion is continuing down here on pit road. And obviously, NASCAR and all the teams involved want to make sure the track's safe. So they're still looking it over.
How was that hot dog, Bill?
What hot dog?
One you just ate.
I'm not eating a hot dog.
Sadly.
That's Benny. Hey, Benny, you ran here in Watkins Glen for a 6-hour endurance event one time with Hans Stuck.
Hans Stuck. Yeah. In a BMW on the long course down through the boot and all that other stuff. Those guys, those road racers are truly amazing people. How they get around this racetrack and the way they do is just simply amazing. Stuck was incredible in a little normally aspirated BMW keeping up with a turbo Porsche. It was amazing.
It is pretty incredible, and I think you see also in the modifieds in the Busch Series, a lot of the road race guys that step into these cars seem to have instant success because they're so adapted to the road course.
Yeah, tomorrow in the NASCAR Busch Series, Ron Fellows has jumped over from road racing to drive the 4-car for James Finch, and he will be up there. That's the guy you have to beat to win things.
Sure, he was 4th fastest in the last practice today.
All right, the voices you hear, Benny Parsons and Steve Parker, expert analysts today. Restart lap 17 of 32. That caution out for 3 laps.
And looky, Christopher trying to look on the inside, almost had the lead. Now he's going to make it. He does have a run.
Tim got a little wide there and just dropped the wheel off into the dirt, and looks like Teddy got a good run on him on the inside. And like we talked about earlier, once Teddy got by and moved Tim up a little bit, Rick Fuller went right by with him.
And Leady's trying to get by as well. They wide an orange car. Took a look, couldn't quite make it. The black car is Eddie Flimke. Sam Russo looking on the inside of Flimke now. Well, couldn't quite make it. That blue car is Sam Russo.
As they come out, they'll show you again what happened to the yellow car, number 4 of Tim Conley.
He just gets in the corner so hard he can't make the corner. Christopher wise enough to see this and just dives under him.
Yeah, and everybody did a great job coming through there in one piece. Tim did a good job hanging on to his car, and Teddy took advantage of the situation. So I think you're going to see a lot of close racing here from here on out.
Here's the left-hander. This is turn 10. Go right over to the edge now, right back to the right. Ever see Sam Russo? Steve, guess how many yards the 88 car? He cuts grass. He's a landscaper. Cuts yards for a living. Oh, here we go. Battle for the lead.
Fuller on the inside down in turn 1. Who's got the best brakes? Fuller makes the move. Here comes Conley.
Here comes Connolly right along with him.
No!
Oh, that was tight.
That was tight. Christopher just turned across the line, and Conley had to really stand on the brakes.
Again, like we talked about earlier, there was a lot of give and take right there, so there wouldn't be a lot of broken race cars. And, looks like Rick Fuller just went in the corner real deep and was able to outbrake Teddy, so it's going to be surprising to see if Teddy kind of retaliates back. And look at Jan Leedy, 3 wide. 3 wide. That's modified racing.
That's why this series is so popular now in the inner loop. You see the ripple strips. That's what Christopher hit. Behind him is Conley.
Caution flag somewhere around there. There's a car right there. Wow, what a terrible place to have a car stall.
Especially when you're racing that close. You're not really looking for a car to be parked on the racetrack, and coming out of the inner loop, that was a real scary situation right there, and everybody got through it real well.
You see the SCCA corner workers waving that yellow flag, and now there will be a full course yellow for the car number 77, or 07, I should say. That's the Burt Marvin car. 07 having stalled out of the inner loop, and that car is just in too precarious a position to let them race there coming out of the inner loop. If someone misses the loop, they'll just punch Marvin right in the back, so they're going to get that car moved, and that brings the 3rd full course caution out of the day. Wow, what racing. No wonder the folks up at Flemington and Riverhead and Riverside and Stafford and always love to see these modified run every weekend when this tour comes to town. What a show.
These guys, they're not afraid to mix it up, and they race together week in and week out. And just to point out the importance of them corner workers here too. There's corner workers. I don't know what the actual number is all around the course, but they gave a good, fair heads-up warning for the drivers, knowing that there was a car stopped right there just coming out of the inner loop.
Yeah, you saw them frantically waving those yellow flags, and they did it. It's unbelievable where Burt Marvin was sitting that no one made contact going off that corner.
Exactly. He was right in the groove. You want to run the car out high right there to get a good run down into that turn 9, and to have everybody miss him, I think, was because all the corner workers really getting that yellow flag out there early enough to warn everybody.
Wow, we almost need a caution flag to catch our breath. Rick Fuller leads after 19 laps. Why are we trying to catch our breath? Because they've been 3 wide here, side by side. That's what we've been seeing. And we'll come back with more green flag action from Watkins Glen, modified style in a moment. Back at Watkins Glen, New York, in the Polaroid 125. Exciting action. We are just past the halfway point. We have seen these cars 3 wide in the short shoot. Exciting racing here in the early laps at Watkins Glen.
Green flag. Here we go again. Always a contest. Who's going to win this battle down to turn 1?
Oh, it looks like it's going to be single file this time.
Fuller the leader. Christopher in second. Tries to make a move.
He tried to make that move. He made the last restart on Connolly, and it just didn't seem to work there with Rick Fuller.
Up the hill.
That's 2, 3, and 4. The S's here at Watkins Glen. They will climb all the way up this half-mile back straightaway.
This is leading down the backstretch. Believe it or not, these modifieds will get up somewhere around 150, 60 miles per hour, about right there.
Yeah, you can see how Rick moved to the bottom of the racetrack and back up because there's to try to keep Teddy from picking up a good draft from him and getting by him going through the inner loop.
Nice shot of the back of the Les Care Kitchens car of Ted Christopher. Brand new Maynard Troyer chassis. They've worked on for the past 2 weeks trying to get this car ready to bring it here. And you watch the leaders flash by. One guy that is famous in modified ranks over the years, but will not go to victory lane today, Bill Weber. That's Reggie Ruggiero.
Certainly one of the most recognizable names, but a difficult day today and a rough 4 weeks for you, Reggie. What happened here?
The Gulf Pontiac was going good early in the race and going up through the S's up the long back straightaway. I believe a torque arm plate broke and the tire exploded and took off the Nerf bar. We fixed it, but NASCAR put us behind the wall because the right side roof rail is missing just for safety, so our day ended early.
You came in third in points, but there's a logjam of guys beginning just 12 points behind you.
Yeah, you know, this is really going to hurt us for points. We'll probably be about 12th or 15th after today, but we'll get them next week.
Reggie able to smile.
Tough break for Reggie Ruggiero, who's finished runner-up in the points like 5 times.
It looks like Teddy's having a problem with his hood. His hood's coming off.
Yeah,
Look right there.
And he's slowing as Connolly goes by.
It looked like he moved over and let Tim Connolly go right by. It's either pushing too much air down that long backstretch or he's having a problem. But you can see right there his hood's sticking up, and he might have to pit to correct the problem with that.
Talking about the 13 car, Teddy Christopher, the 3rd place car of the maroon car.
Told you that's a brand new car they'd worked on. They'd worked day and night to get this car ready. It's one car has spun off the racetrack. The 31 car spinning around. That is Tony Ferranti Jr.
It looked like Tony Hirschman was involved too. I saw him pulling away from the wreck right when that camera went there.
Once again, that's up at the inner loop. Back to the lead. Here the cars come. Rick Fuller back and forth, weaving down the front stretch, just like you're talking about, trying to keep those guys behind from drafting that well.
Yeah, it's kind of strange you see that so early. You'll see that with about, well, he just run up off the racetrack.
Ran off the racetrack and gave the lead away.
Gave the lead to Tim Connolly. He should concentrate more on keeping the car straight down the straightaway and get it through the corner. Like we said earlier, it's kind of surprising.
There's Corvino. He has spun the car number 17. Looping around. That's the Bobby Fuller on machine. Tommy Corvino finally gets that car righted. No full course caution, as Connolly is our leader after that pass down in turn 1.
The 4 car, Tim Connolly, was the pole sitter here this afternoon. Rick Fuller qualified on the outside, so they're still running where they qualified. 1-2.
Ted Christopher back in 3rd spot. He started 3rd. Jan Leedy being shown in 4th from 6th position all the way up to 4th as the laps are clicking away.
You can see Rick Fuller pull right back up on the back of Tim Connolly there. It usually takes about a half a lap to get yourself back in the rhythm of things here once you run off the course, but it looks like Rick's doing a good job of trying to get right back up with Tim Connolly.
10 laps to go. 22 down, 10 to go here in this NASCAR Featherlite modified Polaroid 125 from Watkins Glen Raceway. Our live coverage, Bill Weber in the pits, Benny Parsons, our special guest Steve Park in the booth, and yours truly, Jerry Punt. New excited modifying action from historic Watkins Glen Raceway.
Boy, Fuller is pushing Connolly down the backstretch.
Hey,
Here
get the run here. On the inside, can he outbrake him?
Now, that was a slingshot, a perfect slingshot, wasn't it?
That was a classic slingshot pass right there, and there's not much you can do about it. Running 150 miles an hour down that backstretch, these modified cars, like they've demonstrated up at New Hampshire, draft real well, and it looked like Rick got a good run up through the top of the S's and got a good slingshot pass on Tim Connolly.
Well, what a great shot a moment ago from the onboard camera of Tim Connolly, of watching those cars go through the inner loop, and they go back and forth. They jerk the steering wheel, and you watch the car rock to the right, back to the left, and back to the right, and yet hold the position.
Come back, complete one more lap.
I don't think Tim was thrilled with the pass. It looks like he wants to get back out in the lead. There's only about nine laps ago or 8 laps ago, and I think you're going to see Tim give everything he's got here to try to get back up on Rick and maybe repeat the move that Rick pulled on him in the last time down the backstretch.
Tim Connolly is fairly local. As Jerry said, he went to Ithaca College, which is about 30 miles from here. He lives in Endicott, which is probably 50 or 60 miles from here, so probably the most local of these modified drivers. Let's see if he can do it this time. Can he slingshot by? Fuller
pulls a block on him.
Oh,
we got a car off.
We got someone in the sand pits over there down at turn 1 stirring up some dust.
It is a familiar car right there, Ben.
Yeah, there's that 19 car. Let's see, that driver's who?
That's Steve's dad, Bob.
Bob Park.
That's Dottie's husband, Bob.
That's right. That's Dottie's
If we
husband.
can see who went off in a little agricultural racing. Was that Bob?
Uh-oh. Steve, you got to talk to your dad.
Looks like it was Dottie's husband run right off the course there.
No ownership whatsoever from son Steve. Okay, back up front. Here is Rick Fuller trying to hold off Tim Connolly.
I think Tim's got a lot of hometown fans up here coming from this area of the state, so I think he's got something he wants to show these guys. And oh, here he goes. Now he pulled back in line. He's trying.
He's trying. He knew that he was going to destroy his angle if he got down there, so he's now trying to wait till next lap.
I think he might be trying to make Rick make a mistake by trying to intimidate him by making trying to outbrake him down on the inside and have Rick go in the corner a little bit harder. He knew he ran off the course there at one time, so if he could make it do it again and try to get that pass. There's Tony Hirschman right there. It looks like he's got a problem.
I think his brakes are really weak. Man, here we go.
Tim on the outside.
On the outside. Is this going to work?
This is unheard of right here.
Oh, it ain't going to work.
No. Whoa,
it did work.
That was unbelievable right there. You see that's what I was talking about right there. If Tim can put the pressure on Rick and get him to make a mistake, he's going to go by him. And that allowed Ted Christopher to pull up right on the back of the 4 car and the 21 car. This is going to be a 3-car shootout here at the end.
Great racing. The NASCAR Featherlite Modified Series. Great in-car camera work. They're still battling. They'll be battling when we come back here at the final laps at Watkins Glen in a moment. Back in Watkins Glen, New York, the final laps of the Polaroid 125. You'll notice our new leader is Tim Connolly. We'll show you how it happened just moments ago.
Steve?
Well, you can see Tim pull on the inside here and try to outbrake Rick, and it's tough to do, and he made it stick. And then he didn't even smoke the tires going in the inner loop. He went a little bit wide there, but did a beautiful pass to go by Rick. He did. He made it look real easy. And you know, it makes you want to think that if maybe Rick wants to be in second spot with 1 or 2 laps remaining after that nice slingshot pass he had a couple laps earlier, he might be setting Tim up for a last lap pass, and that'll be real exciting.
Well, where they've done it, Vinny's up the backstretch. You got to wonder how wide that tidy cat Dodge will get on the final lap. And Fuller does try to make a move. Here is
guess who that is?
That's Steve's dad, Bob.
I tell you, Bob Park, they had to drive back to East Northport 6 hours each way to get an engine and come back here even to get in this race. So you certainly got to give him and that crew a call even to make it back to start today. We're talking about Bob Park driving the car number 19.
Here's the leaders come one more time. Conley goes by. There's Fuller, Rick Fuller.
I tell you, Tim's driving the wheels off that car. I think he wants to put a little distance between him and Rick so Rick can't pull a slingshot pass down the backstretch.
Tim Connolly has not won in 2 years with 5 laps to go. He has not won since taking over the ride for Bob Garbarino in the Tidy Cats Mystic River Marina Dodge. His last win coming June of 1995 at Lee, New Hampshire. So certainly he would love to get his first win on national television here on ESPN for Bob Garbarino.
Right now, he is doing a very good job. He has managed to put, that's the biggest lead that we've seen all day. The lead that Connolly has now over Rick Fuller.
There's Tim Airy on pit road for an unscheduled stop.
They're looking under the back of that car. They might be leaking something also, or still leaking something.
He was being shown in 8th position, so a tough break for Tim Airy.
He's a paving supervisor down in Jersey.
It looks like the damage on the front of Tim's car is not really making it much of a difference. It looks like he's still pretty much hooked up and hasn't made any kind of an aerodynamic difference in his car. If anything, it might have helped him. It looks like he's really moving out here.
Here he comes by the start-finish line one more time. Put in another lap on the board. Bill Weber, what's going on with the 21 car?
Well, they don't really know. They think they may have something broken in the car. Rick radioed in, said there may be something broken in the car. I talked to Art Berry, who's the owner crew chief of that car. I said, are you all right? He goes, I don't know. So they may have something broken on the 21 car. He may not be able to catch the 4.
Well, here's a battle here that the 88 of Russo battling with the car number 26, the car he just sold this week. The young man, 27 years of age, Frank Bordwick, the 3rd.
Now it's for 6th spot.
And the 26 car. There you see Iwanisco. He got off the course on the very first lap. He's worked his way back. He is now called Flimke. Uh-oh, he's been challenged. Iwanisco in the red car, number 8. He's being challenged and passed
by Russo.
By Russo.
Mike's done a great job after running off the course. You lose a lot of time on the racetrack getting off into the sand. He did a great job not getting stuck and working his way back up into the top 5, top 6 now.
Talking about Mike Iwanicko in the car number 8. He told me he got some great advice from a guy named Steve Park on how to drive this race course. You see Russo trying to make a challenge. What did you tell Iwanicko? What do you tell some of these guys about how to get around here?
Well, we were here Thursday, and I was actually helping my dad. He ended up blowing a motor, so when they went back to get the other motor, I talked to Mike, especially driving the car that I had so much success with last year. And he was having a couple problems through the inner loop and just synchronizing his downshifts. And I gave him a couple secrets I don't like to talk on TV about, because then all the modified guys would pick up on it. But he did a lot better. He actually picked up about a second around the race course, doing a little bit different shifts, and we actually geared the car a little bit different. So he's doing a good job working his way back up in the top 5 here.
I guess, you know, I asked the question. I don't guess we ever got to answer it on Sam Russo. We see him there in the blue car, currently running in 5th spot. How many lawns he cuts in a week?
Yeah,
14,000 lawns per week.
14,000. That's incredible. All by himself.
Must have a big mower.
And we've got a car sitting in the grass. Oh, and he's moving. Thank goodness he's moving. It's Cravino in the 17 car. Second time we've seen Tommy spin down there in that corner.
Bobby Fuller on machine for Tommy Cravino. Came in here in the top 10 in the point standings. Back 5th overall in the points.
2 laps to go. 2 laps to go for Tim Conley.
36-year-old driver from nearby Binghamton, New York, trying to take the Tidy Cat Dodge to victory lane. Here's a great battle. Ed Flemke Jr. in the car number 11, the 88.
That's for 4th and 5th and 6th right there. Eddie Flemke's doing a great job. I know he came in. He's not an avid fan of road racing, but he's just doing the best job he can for his whole Mystique team. And right now, it looks like it's working out for him with a fine 4th place run. Oh, we got Russo passing on the inside of Eddie Flemke.
And up to the S's, 2 abreast.
Wow, that you don't go through there too wide. I'll be surprised if they come out the top too wide.
Eddie says not so fast, Sam. I haven't had but one top 5 this year, and right now I'm running 4th. So Eddie Flemke says I'm going to hang on. If I can hang on for a lap and a half, I'll finish at least 4th, and not better.
I don't think you're going to see much give and take right now in these last 2 laps. And Tim Connolly up front, I know he's running good, and he's driving his heart out right now. He wants to win his first race on the modified tour.
It's turn 9. We're halfway around the racetrack with a lap and a half to go for these guys, all battling for position. This is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. And Conley goes by, takes the white flag as we watch this battle.
There's Conley down in turn 1. Fuller, the white car behind him. Final lap. They are 1st and 2nd.
Has Fuller closed that up, or am I imagining things?
It looks like he's closed it up. Tim might be taking it a little bit easy here, knowing he had such a big gap.
And Russo has finally gotten in
Whoa, did you see that?
Flimke.
That was a great pass.
Russo is 4th. Flimke is 5th, and behind him is Frank Bordwick, the 3rd, a 27-year-old driver.
And Mike Iwanicko looks like he's looking to make a pass on Eddie Flemke.
Iwanicko has gotten by Bordwick, and now he is in 6th position. Here's Iwanicko.
Looking on the inside, just noticed a puff of smoke come out of his car right there.
He is smoking. The Iwanisco's car is definitely smoking.
Well, it looks like he's just got to hang on for one more lap and hopefully make it to the checkered flag here.
Here we come. This is for the lead.
Wow, Rick has caught up on him.
He has caught him.
Final turn.
Come on.
They are 2 turns
Unbelievable.
away.
Look how close they were.
Fuller on the inside. No, Conley slams the door. They got 1 turn left. That's turn 10. Fuller off in the ripple strips.
It's not over yet. He's going to still have another 100 feet here.
Here they come, 100 yards away. Checkered flags. And Tim Conley takes the win. What a victory. What a race for the Endicott, New York driver. Bob Garbarino's driver gets his first win. And here's battle 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Looks like Sam Russo still leading that pack of cars right there with Eddie Flemke behind him and Mike Iwanisco.
Here we come. Russo, Flemke, Iwanisco, and Boardwick.
Oh, and Eddie's got a run on the inside. Can he make it stick? No. Russo got him.
Half a car length, so Russo will finish 4th, Flemke 5th, Iwanisco 6th. But here's the guy that's going to head to victory lane, and how appropriate that Tim Conley finally gets a win here, his first in 2 years, in front of the hometown folks from nearby Binghamton, New York. In just a moment, we'll hear from Tim Conley, who has won the Polaroid 125 from the pole. Back in a moment. Cool. Back at Watkins Glen, New York, the Polaroid 125 is history. And picture this, the young man from nearby Binghamton, New York, as going to victory lane for the first time in 2 years. That youngster right there, Tim Conley, driving for Bob Garbarino in the Ralston Purina Tidy Cat Dodge, a Stealth, the only Dodge in NASCAR Modified Tour Racing for 1997. And there's the in-car camera riding along. You think that young man is happy? And there's the crew going up to victory lane.
Tim's real happy, and he's a great individual. Him and Bob Garbarino, you won't find nicer people in modified racing. And if anyone deserves to win a race, Tim does. They've worked real hard. They've been together for a few years now, and now all their hard work has paid off to get their first win together, and we're just proud of all of them.
Former high school All-American from Binghamton North High School, won a national title at Division III Ithaca College for the Bombers in the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl back in 1979, and now a successful NASCAR Featherlite modified driver, getting his first ever road course win and his 3rd career win on the tour.
Well, he's almost ready to get out. Let's see. What else have we got to unhook here? I've got to get my shades. And then what else? Yeah, let's see. Got everything out of here. Which hat do I put on? Yeah, better put that hat on. Okay, now I'm ready.
All right, let's go down to victory lane and hear from Tim Conley.
Well, Tim, congratulations.
You had to grab the right cap, but you came to the right place.
I'll tell you what, I'm so thankful for these guys. These guys worked so hard. I'll tell you what, they did such a great job. You know, they haven't been to bed in about 2 days. Bob Garbarino, Ralston, Purina, Tidy Cat, Lou Parks, Brian Bashan, all the guys, my family, my friends. You know, we worked pretty hard at this thing the past year and a half, and we got a little frustrated, but, well, I'll tell you what, it was a great win. We really enjoyed that one.
Some gutsy racing out there between you and Rick Fuller.
I'll tell you what, Ricky and I can run pretty hard against each other, and you know, we've been doing that quite a lot the past year. He ran me good and hard, and I ran him good and hard. I think I hope we made a great show. It didn't seem like there was a lot of yellows, some passing back and forth in the lead. Thanks for ESPN and everybody that's watching.
This road course modified racing, there's a future here.
There sure is. Wow, I tell you what, you're busy around this place. You're busy around this place, and yeah, it really is. I think it's a great show, and I think the modifieds belong here. Definitely at Watkins Glen. It's a great course for us, and I tell you what, these Goodyears did a great job all day long. They never backed up a second. I was tickled pink about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tim Conley in victory lane here at Watkins Glen.
Now, folks, that is true emotion. The young man is so excited and so emotional he can hardly speak. Thank you so much for watching ESPN. We'll come back and run down the finishers in a moment. Mike Conley led 20 laps. There were 7 lead changes, 3 cautions, 7 caution laps. Our leaders, Tim Conley, Rick Fuller, and Ted Christopher were the 3 leaders. Out of race, Ed Kennedy, Dan Kurzieski, Bert Marvin, Ed Conneran, Tom Baldwin, Dave Bergman, and Tim Airy. Those are the ones that did not finish. Meanwhile, let's go down to victory lane once again and check in with the 2nd place finisher. Bill Weber?
And Rick Fuller able to smile, but I know you're disappointed.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, I'm real disappointed. Art Barry and the guys, they gave me a super race car. We came out here yesterday, and I smacked it into the wall. You don't even want to know why or how. Nobody believes me anyway. And, you know, we struggled from there, just trying to get it back together and get it right. Got it right. Went out, you know, we started outside. We led some. I ran the car too hard early in the race, slowed down, backed it down to cool the tires off, and I waited a lap too long to catch him. I could pass him all day long over in the inner loop. We were a much stronger car over there. I blew it. I guess my timing was bad.
We had a report that your car might have a problem in the closing laps, but that wasn't the case.
Them guys, they're always trying to get TV time. Now, the Polar Beverage car ran super. A little bit of a vibration, but, you know, like I said, the biggest thing was I buzzed the tires. I got it all greasy, and it was slipping around the racetrack. And, hey, what are you going to do? You know, everyone's happy. The rebuilders, automotive guys, everybody that was here, Sunoco. Goodyear had a super tire when I wasn't spinning it. Hey, second will have to do today.
Okay, that's Rick Fuller, second here at the Glen.
And he's like all those Fullers. He loves to talk, don't he?
All right, our rundown. Tim Conley, Rick Fuller finishing second. His second best finish of the year. He won the opener, the icebreaker at Thompson, Connecticut. Ted Christopher, great finish for Christopher. Sam Russo in his first full year. And Eddie Flemke, what a battle those two had in the final laps. Mikey Winitsko finishing sixth. Frank Bordwick, the third, finishing seventh. Only his third start of the year. Charlie Pasteryak coming back from an incident on Friday to finish eighth. Chris Kopech ninth. And the 1990 Series champion Jamie Tomato reigns out the top 10.
Dan Avery in 11th. Bill Woods, 12th from a provisional start or back in the back. Tony Ferranti. Jan Leedy had trouble at the end and fell back to 14th. And Crevino, we saw, had trouble down in turn one a couple of times, finishes 15th. Bob Park, Steve's dad, finished 16th. Doug French, another provisional starter, 17th. S.J. Yavancian, Paul Pasteryak, and Curtis Markham takes a 00 car to 20th. So we'll give Stefanik the points for 20th spot. Tony Hirschman, last year's champion, 21st. Wade Cole, Tim Airy, Dave Bergman, and Ed Conneran.
All right, those are the unofficial results of the Polaroid 125. Great family atmosphere. Couldn't ask for more beautiful weather here in the Finger Lakes region of New York. We'll come back to wrap up our racing in a moment. Our speed road coverage of the NASCAR Featherlite Modified Tour Polaroid 125 from historic Watkins Glen International Raceway has been brought to you by Yamaha, maker of exciting and reliable wave runners and jet boats. Well, what a battle we had in the top five. Let's go back down to Bill Weber with some of the combatants. Bill?
And this is Ted Christopher, and they were just about to call him up on stage. You'll stay here and talk on TV after a run like that, won't you? What happened to your hood?
I don't know. I guess the air gun underneath the thing and buckled it up like that. But we were running real high oil temperature, and I think the thing probably broke a valve spring. But the Husker Kitchens Cavalier was running pretty good. You know, we finished this year. We had a better car last year and ended up not finishing. But this year we finished third, and we'll take that. And next time we'll have hopefully a better motor and get our problems figured out.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Ted Christopher. He came home third. And Sam Russo took the day off from cutting lawns, and you had yourself a good race, didn't you?
Yes. That Walker lawnmower Chevy Cavalier just ran great out there today. We just were unfortunate didn't get to get up there with the leaders. I was behind Jan Leedy, bounced it off the fence and spun it out in the chicane and collected us. We were able to refire and battle back for fourth. We're real happy with that.
Obviously, we talked earlier in the day. You've had some great runs, just not great finishes, but now you've got a couple in a row. Yes, my hat's off to the entire crew. They've done a bang-up job on this race car, and we just keep getting better and better every week, and we're having a lot of fun on this Feather Modified Tour. Congratulations. Thanks again. Sam Russo comes home fourth here.
Just think Christopher and Russo both have back-to-back finishes, a third and fourth in the last two events, so a great run. You know, Russo told me he's a member of the Benny Parsons fan club. I said, what do you mean? He pulled off his hat and says, I'm thinning a little bit on top. So that's why I'm a big Benny fan.
What do you mean he's thin on top? He's got less hair than I got. There's our winner.
Well, Bill Weber, how about the guy who finished fifth?
Well, that'd be Ed Flemke, and you had a pretty good seat, a good race today.
Not bad at all. I'll tell you, you know, we started eighth, worked our way up. I made a couple mistakes. They weren't costly ones, but we gathered it back in, and we got through here. Our crew chief got married Friday night, Craig Sabarbara. He wasn't here this weekend, so we got through it without him, but we're looking forward to get back home, see him, and coming back here in the fall. We're going to have a blast.
What were those little mistakes, Ed?
Well, I went down into one time a little bit hot, got a little bit too big for my britches and run it off the racetrack, and got it back down into second gear and went back after. And we lost some time there, went back from 4th all the way back to 8th, claimed our way back up. And in the last lap, I hope you guys got it on tape, but Sam and I went down through the inner loop right through the grass. It was perfect. It could have been an ice skating move or something. But Benny, we were talking earlier. Come on down, have a hot dog if you're still around. Hummel hot dogs are real good.
Congratulations on your 5th place finish.
Thank you.
Back up to you guys.
All right, Eddie Flemke, by the way, his crew chief, mentioned got married last night, Craig Regalia. He said his wife, Barbara, wouldn't let him come here on their honeymoon to work the car today. I don't know why. I mean, but anyway, he said that he had to have a stand-in crew chief to help him out. But, Craig, congratulations on the wedding last night. I'm sure somewhere you probably got to watch a few laps of this race today from Watkins Glen International.
Mighty narrow-minded, if you ask me.
Well, there they are, the top 2 guys, and we got more action coming your way. ESPN2 Thunder on Wednesday, the USAC Sprint Cars, live 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific from Winchester, Indiana. The high banks of Winchester coming thundering your way on Wednesday night with sprint car action from USAC.
Here once again is the rundown. Once Tim Conley was the winner, Rick Fuller, Ted Christopher, Sam Russo finished in 4th, and Eddie Flemke, we just talked to him, finished 5th. He's the guy with the hot dogs I'm going to see in a minute. 6th, Mike Iwanisco, Frank Bordwick, Charlie Pastriak, Chris Kopech, 9th place finish, and Jamie Tomeno. Back 11th through 15th, Dan Avery, Bill Woods, Tony Ferranti, Jan Leedy, Tommy Cravino. Now, once again, 16 through 20, Bob Park, Doug French, S.J. Evansian, Carl Pastriak, Curtis Markham, replacing Mike Stefanik, finishes 20th spot. 21 through 25, Tony Hirschman, Wade Cole, Tim Airy, Dave Bergman, and Ed Conneran.
And if you just joined us, Mike Stefanik, who currently leads the NASCAR Featherlite Modified Tour points, ran the first few laps from 18th position, took off in a plane, and as we speak, should just now be landing in Nazareth, Pennsylvania to qualify his Busch Grand National North Series car. He is trying to win 2 titles in 2 series in the same year. Well, the NASCAR Featherlite Modified cars will come back to Watkins Glen on August 24th. That is Watkins Glen International Raceway. We'll have the action on ESPN. Well, we're going to get extreme on you tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The X Games, the Summer X Games from San Diego. Yeah, they're making snow in San Diego. They built a ramp 90 feet high, 350 feet long. Folks, you don't want to miss it tonight. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the 1997 Summer X Games. And if you missed some of it, well, we're going to recap it on Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time as we're going to the extreme on ESPN and ESPN2. And, of course, our live flag-to-flag coverage comes your way from the World Center of Racing next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time for the Pepsi 400. Sterling Marlin, the defending winner of that race. For Benny Parsons, Bill Weber, and Steve Park, I'm Jerry Punch, congratulating Tim Connolly on his win, his first of 1997.